And I'm really proud of myself that I remember every once in a while to do that. Hang on a sec. There's more people coming in.
And Matt, thank goodness for Joyce, who always remembers to record our chapter meetings when she's on the call.
She does a great job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. She's great.
You know, everyone on the staff has been with me for over 10 years.
Okay.
Yep, long time, and they did the transition through COVID, and they did it extremely well. So that was good.
Yeah, we've Zoom has actually been a benefit to us.
I hear you. It's been really good.
We have events like this one.
Yeah.
Would not be possible pre-Zoom.
It
Hey, there's
wasn't
a phrase, pre-Zoom.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Okay, so Mark, we have two of our contributors that are here. Mark and Matt. And so I'm going to start with them in case somewhere along the way they want to drop off. But this meeting is about, discussing resources that are available to us in the fractional business. And, just as a segue into that, tonight and tomorrow, I'm doing a presentation at the Chicago FANG and the Memphis FANG. And if you're interested in hearing what it used to be like in the olden days to try to do this before we could do virtual and we had all these resources available, I kind of talked from the beginning of my journey, which was 22 years ago, and move it all the way through to today and what I'm doing today. So it'll give you kind of a nice profile of what it looks like. And there's a whole bunch of resources that I bring into that as well. Okay, so I'm going to have Matt talk first. Some of you have attended Matt's sessions, and you may be confused as to, why do we have two?
3.
and soon to be 4. But so let's start there, and we'll kind of we'll go through all this, what we're trying to accomplish here. So Matt, if you want to go first.
Sure, no, that's fine. I would, I don't know if are you gonna put me on the screen big or spotlight?
I'm going to allow you to share if you got anything to share, but
Just right mouse click on me and
yeah, I can pin you,
make me
make you big.
spotlight me,
Yes.
and I'll be in the center of the screen.
Yep.
Then you can spotlight me, which is very painful, by the way.
Sorry.
I'm kidding with you. I said being spotlighted could be painful.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't know. Am I in the center now?
I have you there. You have to pin Matt in order to do this.
Okay.
I don't know how to do it the other way.
No, you just in my box, upper right hand corner. You just
Spotlight.
spotlight. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So
I feel much better now that I'm spotlighted.
See,
So
we have
welcome all of you
resources.
to these sessions. To answer the question that was raised about why there are so many of them, it's that there's quite a bit of interest in people starting their own consulting practices. And I actually encourage it. As you get older, it's harder and harder to find a full-time W-2 job. And sadly, they're one of those A-B things. You're either working or you're not working. You lose 100% of your income when you're not working.
Yep.
And it can get difficult to find employment. If you can set up a part-time consulting practice, as Jeff has been presumably lecturing you about, you have the opportunity to find, say, 5 clients, and if you lose one, okay, so you lost 10 or 20% of your income, but hopefully you've been networking at least one day a week, and you have a client in the wings to replace that one. So what we talk about in my sessions, I get mostly people who are just starting out. They've lost their job, or they've gotten to the point where they lost their job and they're exploring the idea of consulting. So we talk about the key elements, and I mentioned these in my stop by my office at the top. Getting your own website is important. Having a website is important. You can't just rely on LinkedIn. You've got to have it reasonably well done. But you can get started. You can you don't want to have a business card that says at gmail.com. That is not professional, and it makes you look not serious. So we talk about that. We talk about E&O insurance. People can sue you for any reason or no reason at all. So you've got to be insured once you have a client. And then along with that, if you have a steady client and steady client relationship, you can get them to put you on their insurance, so you're covered at least for work done in their shop. The other things we talk about is having an area of expertise. Everybody doesn't have to be a part-time CFO. That's Jeffrey's thing. There's lots of different kinds of consulting practices we talk about, and any one will do. We also talk about how to find clients, and of course it's networking, and more networking. The basic thing is to find someone who knows you to get you started. There's always work that needs to be done. If it's not a part-time CFO job, maybe it's just some consulting work for somebody who knows you. Consulting is different than being an employee, and it can be a difficult transition for people. As I used to joke, when I was working for the great corporation, I would sometimes take a day off at the office. You can't do that if you're a consultant. Every hour that you're there, you need to be writing something in your notes about what you were working on. Not that they will always ask, but they might ask. And it's just total change in mindset. I had a consultant who I had out on an assignment, and it was actually a second or third assignment I had for him. And he was playing with his phone. It happened to be when the boss was walking by, and he did it a couple of times. And the guy fired him. Because I'm not paying you to play with your phone. So it's a totally different mindset, and that's something that you need to adjust to. So those are kind of the issues we talk about on my session. So Jeff, did you want more?
Yeah, so
Or maybe there's some questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up. Now, you guys know, everybody here knows that Matt has a very successful consulting practice as part of the FANG, right? And so,
Well, it's not actually part of the thing, but I can explain it if you want.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So the consulting practice I have a search practice. So I find chief financial officers and controllers for middle market companies. My primary focus is on getting assignments from private equity groups, because they don't practice age discrimination. As long as you can fog a mirror and you're planning to work 5 more years, they're good. So I have actually sent people out on assignments and sometimes W-2 jobs who are in their 70s. I have absolutely no shame, I have to tell you, because they will talk to them. As long as they're planning to keep working, they will talk to them. What's unique about my practice is that I only solicit candidates from our network. I'm marketing to people, my assignments, to people who know who I am. And then in the course of vetting those candidates, people consider me to be a friend, and they have very honest conversations with me, which allows me to be more helpful to them. A lot of my clients are members of the networking group also. But again, my focus is on middle market, and that's in today's world, primarily private equity groups. The FECG is separately incorporated. It is not legally connected to the FENG in any way, but it allows me the luxury of having an income and being able to spend the other 40 hours a week working on the networking group.
Yep. And so what's important for everybody to know is he's speaking. So we talked about the fact that there's all these different people. We're going to hear from Mark in a minute, but we all look at the world differently. And so Matt's speaking from years of experience and success doing business in the consulting world from his perspective. So there's, Matt may say something different than I do, which would be something different than what Mark says. None of us are right or wrong. It's just our take on how we became successful in what we do. And
there was one thing I left out from the typical conversation we have from my just starting out group is developing your own business practices. I had the great fortune in 1992 to be working for a staffing firm. I was their chief financial officer for 5 months. They didn't tell me that was a temporary job. But in any case, I learned the business. So in my business practices, I take retainers, which I recommend everybody do. That way, you're getting paid on a more current basis. But also, how you invoice and how you pay. I bill every week, and I go over my billing practices with everyone because I think they're appropriate. You don't want to be billing once a month, in my opinion, because people forget what you were working on.
Yep. Okay, and so does anybody have any questions on what Matt is saying? Some of you have heard what I say before. Some of you have heard what Mark says before. But do you guys have any questions for Matt on his perspective? And by the way, after everybody talks, we'll be able to circle back and ask questions again. So,
Sure.
It's not just in and out here.
Yeah, and my session, I believe, is next Tuesday.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
For me,
Oh.
I've been unemployed just like everybody else. And if you haven't, God bless you. It's a great thing. But one thing I learned was, a once a month session to help you get a job is not enough, right? And so even with this, if you think of it this way, you can have sessions all the time because, when you're here today, there's questions like, Melanie was telling me that she's kind of starting off, and so is Mark. There's questions that you don't even know you should be asking yet. And so as you go through and listen and talk and be part of this, those questions will continue to come up. And it's really kind of fun to be part of a community of people. Like I didn't know Mark really much before I started on doing this. And I've gotten to know him really well over the time. And so it's really, like same with Bill. Bill comes here quite a bit. Mike, I see Dave, Abigail's been coming. So you build a community. They come and they go, so people come in, they learn what they want to learn. They go away for a while. They come back. It's all good. We'll all be here to help you with what questions you have along the way. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Mark. And
Very
now
good.
that I have my new power here, I'm going to spotlight Mark.
Jeff, I think Abigail had a question before you go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Of Matt, before you go to Mark.
Yep,
You
Abigail, go ahead.
I can't find the facility where you raise a hand in Zoom, so I was kind of signaling. Just two questions to both you, well, you and Matt and Mark. Backroom wise, what software do you use for billing, and what software do you use for managing client contacts?
Those are two really good questions. For billing, my consulting practice is on QuickBooks Online. I have a business partner, Bruce Lynn. So this way he can get into the books, I can get into the books. Initially, there was no QuickBooks Online. We've been in business for 20 years. So Doug Fine, who was one of my co-chairs and my business partner, He used to email us a copy of the QuickBooks file. So kind of a pain in the neck, right? Not the right way to do it. As far as contact database, you have an excellent question. I use the FENG database. Everything is there because I have such a mix of business, and a lot of it is people who are members of the network. I'd have two databases if I had it separate, but you have to have some kind of contact database package. The only one I'm aware of is called ACT, A-C-T, exclamation point. It may not be the most effective or the least expensive these days, but you need something. An Excel spreadsheet is simply not the answer.
No. So for this group, I use Active Campaign. Is the name of it's another CRM kind of a thing. I have another business, and I use Zoho is great as well. And I also use HubSpot. They have a free version of HubSpot, and so I use that. The Active Campaign one I pay for, but I like it because I've learned it's one of those kind of things. You know, when you learn how to do something, you really don't want to change because you got to go through another learning curve. So I know how to do campaigns on Active Campaign, and so it's going to be pretty hard to get me off of there. Mark,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah,
got your hand-
I would say from a billing perspective, and this does tie directly into QuickBooks Online News Harvest. And it does a really nice job of doing very professional hourly bills. So if you're still in that hourly bill perspective, it does well. You can invite people into it. Even, you know, I subcontract out people to work for me on my clients, and you can invite them and their time gets captured as well. It's a really nice program. You can turn a clock on and it'll keep track of your hours that way, or you can just put in your hours. It's just really good. The first two projects you use, you can test it for free, actually. So that's good. As far as CRMs, there's a million of them. Brendan is my partner in that, and we have evolved to Active Campaign. It has been a painful, long process, but we have evolved to Active Campaign. So should have talked to Jeff first, of course.
Yeah, it's just by luck that I ended up there.
Yeah, we've tried everything. I've looked at a lot of them. The benefit of Active Campaign and some of the higher end CRMs is the ability to do automated sales processes. So you can put somebody at the beginning of a funnel and they'll get 5 emails from you.
Yep.
And so,
nice.
and then they can click in and, you know, set up meetings with you or ask for additional information, and it's all automated and you don't have to think about them.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, and so we'll get to Mark talking in a minute, but just to elaborate on that a little bit. So Mark and Brendan they have like a product they sell. And so they look at CRM a lot differently than, you know, or from a different perspective, because they're actually selling courses. And so that's why when they get a contact, they want to keep dripping a campaign to that contact.
Well,
You know,
let me
Yep.
emphasize this. I used to do online or in-person meetings, you know, talk about valuation or cash flow or whatever. And I stopped doing it because I didn't have a way to immediately have an automated way to stay in touch with people. It was almost a waste of time. So
Yes.
if you have an automated process where you know they'll get 4 or 5 informative, additional value added emails from you, they can always unsubscribe, but at least it's not, you know, I met Mark once and I might think about him in 10 years when I have an issue. I mean, they were interested enough to show up to the meeting, they must have an issue, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I really am a big fan of automated sales process CRMs.
And they work for whether you're selling courses or, I mean, 95% of my clients are not selling physical products. They're selling knowledge solutions. And I have had them go to CRMs and automating the initial top of funnel contacts where people are just kind of kicking your tires and figuring out if they trust what you have to say, if they feel like they would like working with you, if you have expertise in their what they need. All of that is, you know, if you think about it, if you answer the same question more than 3 times in talking with prospects, you need to write an email. And that's something that you can send out. And, you know, the biggest thing to remember is 95% of people don't ever follow up past that 3rd contact. And I think if we ask for a show of hands from our audience here of how many of you have something that you feel confident you could approach and have a prospect engage with you 3 to 7 times in a row without them coming back to you, you know, that's just kind of awkward and it feels kind of salesy. So we just don't do it. And by creating the value added content that you share in an email using something like Active Campaign, that allows you to have the connections with them because, gosh, I think our most recent study that I was reviewing that HubSpot actually put out is showing that, you know, 85% of business is done after the 8th to 12th contact. So by having those initial emails that go out, you can automate 75% of that so that you don't forget to do it because you will forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my 2 cents worth.
Oh, that's good. And so, so on Mark's side, Mark does, I don't know how many of you guys know him, but he does valuations as well. And so he may talk to somebody today that's going to need a valuation 2 years from now, you know? And so he needs to stay in contact with them from that perspective. So he's selling that, I don't even know what to call it, but that service point.
Yeah.
I use Active Campaign. You guys all get my emails, you know, once you either link in with me or contact with me, then I would encourage everybody here to at least send me an email so I can get you on the mailing list. I use it as a mailing list for these meetings. And so at the end of the meeting, I send the recording to everybody. There's like 200 people on my list, and they're all at some point in time have been interested in fractional CFO work. And so I'm always telling them what I'm doing. I'm not trying to get a client, but it was just an easy way for me to stay in touch with everybody to come here to this meeting. So there's a lot of ways to use a CRM. And I'm going to say one last thing on that. HubSpot is more complicated to figure out than Active Campaign. So if you're kind of starting off, like an Active Campaign is a good way to learn quickly. It doesn't do as much cool stuff as HubSpot does, but it's much easier to learn. So just as putting it in perspective, and Zoho is also pretty quick and easy to learn if you're just starting off. And most of these, you know, once you put your contacts into them, you can import them into another one. So you don't have to worry that, gee, I got all my contacts over here. You could just import them into the next system that you might want to try using. Okay, so
Jeff,
now,
you make a good point. Even if you've been keeping them in Excel, you can usually figure out how to pour them into Active Campaign.
Yep.
All is not lost.
It's instantaneous. Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the way I set up the Active Campaign is I downloaded out of my Outlook. All my contacts, I had like 2,000 contacts in Outlook, and I just downloaded them all, filtered out the ones that had nothing to do with fractional CFO stuff, and uploaded that off an Excel sheet into Active Campaign. So that's how I got started with it. Okay, so who wants to talk? Brendan, Mark, both at the same time? How do you guys want to do this?
You don't have to highlight us. That way we'll.
Okay,
we'll
that
be
way,
able
yeah,
to
you can.
comment. We can comment. Brendan and I, Jeff mentioned that we have a product to teach people such as yourselves how to become fractional service providers. And it's step-by-step, four modules, 21 lessons. It is literally sharing everything that Brendan knows from 20 years of coaching people like myself, and what I learned over actually implementing what she's taught. So that is a great program, and we recommend that you take a look at it, obviously. But we noticed that we started a Stop By My Office that emphasizes the marketing side of selling fractional services and consulting services. So Brendan, do you want to comment on why we did that and what we do?
Sure. One of the things that I've learned through coaching people like Mark is that thinking about marketing is sometimes one of those afterthoughts that you don't really pay attention to it until you really, really, really need the work. And what we're attempting to do with this is create a mastermind group where you all have the opportunity to come and hear about what's working with marketing fractional businesses or landing your next interim gig or contract roles. And it's just strictly there to help you where you need it and to keep you focused on always looking out the windshield of your business and paying attention to what needs to happen, because knowing that the actions of today are going to lead to business in Q1 right now. So if you're not marketing now, you're probably going to look up, and if you're in the middle up to your eyeballs in client work, you're going to find yourself with a nice little dry spell coming up until you get the pump primed and things moving again. And our goal with our Stop By My Office is to, just keep you looking out of the windshield of what you're doing in your career so that you're in charge and you're making the right moves so that it's happening with intention instead of accidentally. So I try to keep it pretty simple. In our sessions, we talk about a concept, we give, here's how this works, and then there's a lot of Q&A and conversation about, well, how would that work for me? And what do I need to adjust if my goal is this versus that? Or we spend time just helping you drill down into what are the individual action steps you need to take in order to move your business forward from the marketing perspective.
So you guys want to talk first about the, what's different between your Stop By My Office and your program?
Well, within the course, it's a case of we give the step-by-step, here is just how you do this particular element of. So for example, in our course, we walk you through, here's how you look at your contacts on LinkedIn. Here's how you identify out of the 482 people who were the 15 that you need to contact within the next 30 days. And here's the message that you are going to send out to them. And then we walk you through what needs to happen during those conversations and meetings to turn that networking contact into either a prospect or someone that refers you to your next prospect. Now, with Stop By My Office, the thing is many people don't even know what their fractional solution is going to look like. So jumping into our program would actually be premature unless you're clear that fractional is where you want to go and you've got an idea in your mind about what your solution might be. So our goal with Stop By My Office is to help people recognize the possibilities that exist in fractional or in being in control of where they land next and taking charge of that. And the thing is we're here to leave a good footprint. And it's a case of our goal is for you to walk away from that meeting with something that's going to help you make money immediately. And if it leads to you deciding you want to hire us, fantastic. If you decide that, hey, you know what, this isn't for me, but man, that was great insight that Mark shared about how he landed that really big client last month, you're going to remember that. And when you do encounter somebody that sounds like they might be a good fit for us, you're probably going to think highly of us and make an introduction if we have left that good footprint. So our goal is to make a difference in people's lives, and we really appreciate the opportunity to do that throughout this group and in supporting Fang.
Yep. So, so before the meeting starts, Abigail, I'll get to you in a minute, okay?
Okay,
So when we were starting the meeting, Melanie and Mark are both in the part where they're trying to figure out how to get clients. So they're hearing one of those meetings is free,
Yes.
and the other meeting they got to pay for.
Yep.
So you want to get, because this is going to be interesting for them. You want to give them some perspective on the pay side, like what's the cost of the program, because it's pretty good.
Sure. The cost of the program is $1,500 for lifetime access. And the content, Mark, I drive him absolutely bananas because right now we're at 21 lessons, soon to be 23, because I've got 2 more that I'm adding. And, that's just the way we roll. As we discover what more people need, we're going to encourage them to come back. And the people who went through our program in the beta, gosh, what was it? It was a year and 4 months ago, Mark.
Yeah.
More than that, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, so they have access to the new course that has 60% more content than what they experienced when they went through it. So every time we add new content, they get access to that, as well as they get access to special community benefits that are offered only to the people who go through our program. So, I mean, it's a case of, with the free version, you're going to see what the possibilities are and be able to make some decisions about where you want to go. And then with the paid version, you basically get the other 90% of the solution that's going to get you to the outcome based on our experience and perspective. Because I mean, we've been there, done that.
Yeah, we talk about the class being sharing those, the University of Hard Knocks lessons that we've learned from ourselves and from all the people that we've worked with and helped over the years. We literally, I mean, I'm going to disagree a little bit with my partner here. If you're looking
Never
at
happens.
never happened. If you're looking at doing a fractional service business, you don't know what you don't know. And for $1,500, we take you through how to decide what your product is, how to validate that in the market, how to set up your back office, and how to scale it after you get a foundation in place. And at the end of this, if you decide this isn't your cup of tea, it's very little expense. We tell people that we can get you to revenue if you do what we teach you 6 to 12 months faster than if you stumble around on your own and do it yourself. Every one of you can do it on your own.
Absolutely.
But what's 6 months worth of revenue? It's far more than $1,500.
Well, and the other thing, we basically have the perspective that we bring is we're going to teach you how to secure your next engagement. And I'll tell you that so far, about 30% of the people that have taken our program have received offers that they can't refuse based on clients that have hired them and they've been in the midst of fractional work with them. They've had the opportunity to thoroughly vet the client, recognize the leadership team, understand the politics. It's kind of like being on a paid job interview for 3 months. So we really get that there's a lot of you that you may not thrive in a fractional role. And in that ongoing, always having that thought at the back of your mind, just like I said at the beginning of the conversation, you got to be looking out, and actions today are going to lead to your revenue 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. And not everybody's going to thrive with that, knowing that you've got to be forward looking. And in that case, that's fine. But I want you to be able to make decisions based on what aligns with who you want to serve and the work you want to do and the impact you make, not feel like you have to take a job because you have to keep your mortgage paid and your lights on.
And I fight every time somebody goes away from the dark side here. I mean, we all know jobs are false security. If you build your own business and you have, as Matt said, 4 or 5 clients, and we really work at getting people from out of the consulting mentality to the fractional leadership mentality. Oftentimes you have to go through the consulting process to build the relationship. But if you walk away after a consulting engagement and you don't have some kind of a follow-up, a consistent relationship with the clients, you probably did something wrong. Because my goal is to have 4 clients that I do 3 or 4 hours of work with a week. I pay my bills. I have a great time. And I only work with clients that are interested in what I have to say and that I feel have a chance of succeeding and I enjoy working with. And it's not, the consultant goes in the closet, in the conference room, works 70 hours a week until the project's done. People that are fractional leaders are on that C-suite and they are important. I mean, I have 2 clients that I said, if, they would know, I have a phone call with them every week that always leads to a couple hours of work. And it's fantastic and they pay me really well. And I think everyone should start, you have to build relationships. You have to do some consulting work to get in the door often. For me, it's evaluation, maybe a high level evaluation of changes that they can make to get in, to improve the value of their business. Once I do that, I 80% of the time they become an ongoing client.
Yeah.
And that's what we really want people to do. Jeff does very much. Jeff's got, a much better reputation than me. He just says, you're a $2,000 client and we're in. And I'm sure that's not true, but he does a really good job of just going and not really being an hourly person, but being a retainer-based C-suite executive on a fractional basis. And that's where we're trying to push everyone or help everyone to ultimately get to.
Let me just put something in here if you don't mind. One of the pieces of advice I give the people who are on my call is never work with people you actively dislike.
Amen.
No, really, it never works. There's the temptation when you're first starting out, you have to take everything. And there, as I like to joke, there are people Will Rogers never met, but I have, and I will never work with them. If I
Life is too short.
If I get into a relationship with a client and I decide they're dishonest, I'm sending my friends to them and I won't do it. And I send them on their way. And it's never worth the aggravation. Never.
Absolutely.
The money may be nice, but if somebody's aggravating you, you lose time during the day after you finish talking to them. And you can't work on anything else. So a little bit
There's not enough money to work with those kind of people.
Exactly. I agree.
Well, yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It's there, it's hard enough for me to get motivated to work at my age, so I better like what I'm doing. That's where I'm at.
Well, it's funny. I've had the opportunity to be in fractional before fractional was cool. So I've actually been doing fractional since, 2005, 2006 is when I launched my own practice where I basically functioned as a fractional sales manager. And I mean, on average, I'll have 1 or 2 different clients that I'm working as a fractional sales manager. So been there, and it's amazing to have that flexibility of picking and choosing who you work with. And I take everybody on 3-month engagements, and that's the only time that they're committed to a period longer than 30 days where we would each have the opportunity to exit. And I go into it with a 30 days in, you are probably not going to like me very much because that's where it really starts to hurt. 60 days, you're starting to get into the rhythm. It's kind of like working with a personal trainer. You're starting to feel better. You're sleeping better. You're having lifestyle changes. And then 3 months, it's like, I'm your best friend. But that's the thing is I've learned about setting that expectation in advance. So, and vetting people very thoroughly, because I don't want to be hitched to them for 90 days if they're going to be cranky and hard to get along with or not follow advice or, yeah.
So Abigail, do you still remember your question?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. And I'm
Okay.
kind of going to go upstream a little bit. I mean, I fully appreciate that you want to market to a specialty, but I'm going to also rely on Matt Budd's advice that it's better to be working than not working. So the easiest way to get clients is to go in with kind of traditional CFO types of roles, and then develop your specialization as you are known in the market, if you will. So my question would be, as you're going to bootstrap, if you're going to start this, is there a cyclicality in terms of what you're offering? In other words, as we're coming into the end of the year, should I be out marketing, closing the books for a year? In February, should I be marketing audit support? In September, August, September, should I be marketing budgeting, strategic planning? I mean, is there a marketing content that kind of reflects the accounting annual cycle? That's my question.
Who wants to answer that? Mark, you guys want to start?
I'll answer from my perspective. I think the more specific you are, the easier it is for people to sell you. You know, just saying you're a strategic or, you know, you're a CFO doesn't really help me sell you. And I have people sell me all day because they know I do business valuation and business transition work. And yes, it's a little painful. I end up doing a full C-suite, right? The things that you just talked about, I help clients do those things or help them manage them, because I'm not closing books for anybody. I'm sorry. But, you know, because I don't get enough per hour to do it, quite honestly. So I'm just a little more specific about what do I really like to do and what am I going to market, because you're going to market it over a long-term period of time.
But Mark, you've been in the marketplace and you've developed, I mean, you are known in the marketplace, you're known for valuation. You've not been in a marketplace, you're trying to bootstrap your practice.
That's what he
do you
did
do?
when he was in the marketplace, first bootstrapping his practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
found out it was a waste of time. People can sell, I sell through referrals. If people can't explain exactly why the solution that I provide, it's really hard for them to refer me. That's just, you can do it any way you want, but I'm telling you, the more specific, the value you bring, to be able to define the value you bring and that you love to bring to people, is going to show through in your marketing and in your relationships in the marketplace.
And Abigail, he shared something really key in that. And it was not about the services that he offered. It was about what value that business owner experienced. So he would go specifically to bankers with I'm looking for businesses that want to accurately know what their valuation is and know what they need to do in order to maximize that number. And bankers are hearing that.
You're
muted.
muted.
Your model is referral partners. Yes?
Sure, because that's the fastest way to revenue.
Okay. Where are you on that, Matt?
You got your,
There he is.
My experience, of course, is all networking, and more networking. The
Mhm.
people who know you are more likely to know what you can do for them. And you may take an assignment that delivers you a new expertise. People just know you can do it. And it's okay to branch. I think your question was, do you have a calendar of doing different things at different parts of the year? And that, that just bleeds off to who your clients are and what they want you to do for them. You start with the people, Abigail, in my opinion. If you start with people who know and trust you, the basic consulting work is taking something off their desk. Everybody has a to-do list that they never get to. I worked with somebody at one point, he referred to it as the too hard pile. Everybody has one. And if you can get into somebody's office, I assume you're looking for CEOs rather than CFOs, right? To do part-time work. You're looking for a president to serve. It depends on how you're meeting them. I have heard from my group that commercial bankers are a good source. They will, if you can meet them. They have clients who they're afraid aren't going to be able to pay back their loans. And they're very happy to have you come in and talk to them. Does that help?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you. I mean, I know, like I said, I'm kind of going upstream, excuse me, to what Bobby and Mark are saying. When you're trying to bootstrap your business, it's awful hard to go into the marketplace with specialization.
Could
Sorry.
I just offer an anecdote for what it's worth? So this is actually the third time I've been consulting. I was a CFO for a few companies and so forth. And just recently, I was talking with a friend, a strong acquaintance, I guess I'd say. And he knows that what I'm doing, what I'm specifically offering and so on and so forth. But as we talked, he said, I think I'd get real value out of having you as an advisor to my company. And I'd like to hire you to get together with me twice a month and just help me think about the business and looking forward and so on and so forth. And the point of the story is, I think both views are right. I think it's helpful to be as specific as you can on your offering. But I think to Matt's point, when people know you or they get to know you, you could be offering a trip to Mars, but if they think that you are somebody who can bring value to their organization, they will actually tell you what they're looking for and what they need to get from you, as this fellow did. And also in the same week, last week, again, to speak to some of the comments, I heard from a friend at a company that I used to work for, and they're going to hire me to do something entirely different, which is training non-finance managers finance, right? And I think we've all seen those courses. And in point of fact, I have one that I created and I'll bring to that company. So my point is, I think all those viewpoints, I think knowing people, getting to know them is more important than just knowing them, but getting to know them, and a specific offering, or at least specific enough so somebody says, oh, this person is an expert, as opposed to a jack of all trades.
So Abigail,
Yes.
so I have a couple of comments that are a little different than theirs too. So we're going to totally confuse you by the time we're done here, but Would you-
I'm beyond that.
Okay.
No, it's
All right.
fine. I mean, I really appreciate the different viewpoints because it's very helpful.
Yeah. So, I understand your concept, and it makes a lot of sense just sitting, it by itself, where you're saying, hey, look, it's budgeting season. I can do budgeting. Hey, it's year-end close. Let me help you with your overflow on year-end close. The problem is it's really hard to get to those people. And so, right? So how do you find those people that need you for budgeting? Now, one way to do it would be to call Robert Half, for example, and say, no, it's okay to do that. And say, Robert Half, look, there was a point in time back in, I don't know what year it was, but anyway, I didn't have much to do for whatever reason. I only had one client, and it was one of those, you get that lull every once in a while. And so just because I wanted to work and make some extra money with my time, I called Robert Half and I said, look, I knew them. I talked to them a bunch of times. I said, what do you got? What do you have that's available? And so somebody said, that one of the jobs was help this company fix their QuickBooks. Is QuickBooks desktop, so I knew QuickBooks just because I've been in so many different companies, and a lot of the smaller companies use QuickBooks. So I said, sure, I'll do that. And they said, yeah, you won't be there long, just do it. So I did it, and they were a really tiny solar company. And while I was there, I was able to jump in and help them with their systems and their processing, all these things that I know because I was a manufacturing guy over the past years. And so it ended up really, really good, by the way. So, I got on this journey in solar and I became known as a CFO in solar. And I'm out here in Denver now because of that. And I've had a great exit from a sale of a solar company. And it all started with the fact that one day I said, let me go fill up my time with Robert Half. The other thing is, remember, we all started with nothing, right? I didn't have any connections, same thing like you have. At that time, I took anything and everything that I could get because I had to pay my bills. But what it also did is it caused me to be able to build my resume, if you will, in fractional. By the way, fractional, the word fractional didn't even exist back then. And I'm like, Brendan, I started way before fractional was a thing. And so, it helped me when I talk to future clients, it helped me give case studies basically of things that I had done for other clients. And they didn't have to know that I got there through Robert Half, through their consulting, management recruiters or whatever it is, their consulting thing, branch.
So
So
let me just add to what you're saying, Jeff. There's nothing wrong when you're starting out to take work through Robert Half. They've been doing consulting for a long time. You're bound to learn something from it.
Yeah.
Right. How they do their business, how they have you report. There's a lot to learn, and they may not pay very well, but you got to do what you got to do to get started. Okay. Number two, and I was amused by your comment. This client you were working with, I discovered at the beginning of my consulting practice that every 2-week assignment lasts at least 6 months.
yeah,
Once a company finds somebody who actually knows how to do something, they find more work for you. And I got to tell you, in this economy at this point in time, there really aren't a lot of people left who know how to do anything. And I'm not just talking about CFO controllership type work. I'm talking about anything. I don't know where all the people have gone. Maybe it's the baby boomers dying and retiring, but there aren't a lot of people who know how to do anything anymore. And that's why a lot of older people are working right now, because there is work for them because they know how to get things done.
yep,
Yeah, I will just add, 3-4 years ago, I worked for State Street Bank putting together investment reports for, $75 an hour or whatever, because I didn't have a bunch of clients at that point and I needed to make some money. So just like Jeff said, you just do what you have to do until you find your niche.
I can tell you, I've got clients that they went through periods when they were getting their business up and running that today they make over $300,000 that they were throwing boxes at UPS on the night shift in order to keep their bills paid. So, I mean, it's a case of you do what you need to do in order to get things moving. And to Matt's point, where the people have gone, it seems like there's a lot of generations that are practicing that quiet quitting thing. And it's frustrating for business owners. So yes, when they do get connected to somebody who's willing to roll up their sleeves and is competent and capable, they're going to engage you and then tell others about their experience in working with you. So just get to your first client, however you may need to get there. The reason we like going through referrals is because then you get to piggyback on somebody else's credibility and influence, and you don't have to convince them how smart you are because somebody else that knows you has already done that for you. So that's one of the things that I absolutely love about networking to get your first client.
yep. Yep, and so the other thing I want to point out, that what we're talking about today, these resources, they didn't exist when I started doing this 22 years ago. And if you want to hear, it's bad when you're trying to just do this on your own. Matt had to do it on his own. Mark had to do it on his own. Brendan had to do it on her own. And so these are resources that we're bringing to you to get you past those hurdles. And up the curve as quickly as you can, so you can actually spend your brain power contributing and helping companies become successful. So
And don't do the dumb things we did, like spending
Yeah.
$2,000 on an ad campaign that we were promised was going to deliver the moon. How many of us have gone down that path? And yeah, it was crazy. And now we have access to amazing organizations like Fang that actually offer something of value to their members and aren't just trying to snag you and then say, oh, wait, who are you?
Yeah, to your point, back in 2000, when I started the FECG, I had 4 other business partners. There was a party of 6. And back in 2000, if you were starting your own business, you had to have a trifold. I have to tell you, there are garages in America filled with trifolds. Everybody had to have a trifold. And we ordered these folders to give to clients with our materials. Nobody, the leave behinds.
Yeah.
If you have a leave behind, you're not going to get the work. It's just, I still have some of those folders. Fortunately, we didn't inventory too many. But the whole trifold thing, I mean, really, now even in my marketing messages, I don't send out a PDF either. I just write an email because nobody opens up attachments either. It's crazy.
Yep. That's funny, the trifold. Yeah, I had one. Actually, they're in a box. There's a bunch of them in a box back there in the closet. I just save them for prosperity because it's like back in the day. All right.
We killed a
Anyway,
lot of trees, didn't
You're
we?
just an accountant and you can't throw anything away.
I know.
You might need it someday.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm going to show it to my
repurpose it.
grandsons. Yeah. Yeah. This is the way we used to do it.
Yeah.
All right.
You know,
So,
Go ahead.
okay. So I just want to talk about, so this meeting, obviously you guys are here. Most of you have been here before. I try to do it a little differently and focus on what I call the business side. Matt, we interplay with each other through the whole thing. But when you come here, it's going to look a little different than it will with Matt or with Mark. Again, you'll pick up different things at different times. So like you can see what this meeting is. I invited Mark and Matt to be here to talk about their resources, just to help you guys all see what is available. Now, I'm also going to be, well, let me start with this one. I put in the chat box a link for, it's called Fractional's AI networking. And I went to this meeting. Bill was there too at the meeting. They had like 60 some people at the meeting. And it's very different. What they did is, so this is their website. All they did was, there were fractional people from all different avenues. And we just went, they did a little bit of housekeeping in the beginning, and then we broke into one-on-one breakout rooms. And so we got like, I don't know what it was, maybe 10 minutes with each person. And so, similar to like the speed dating concept. So we got to, it was free. And I'm sending you this link. You can sign up for it to be part of it. And so I met, a couple of people that were in sales. One guy was in systems. Another guy was a fractional CFO. I invited him here. He didn't come. But then they give you the whole everybody that attended. They give you the whole list of people that attended. And everybody that's there is trying to figure out how to collaborate with other fractional people. So one of the things that I did when I first started off, I started the GAS Peterson Business Group. That was my concept. Because what I had, before I started doing this on my own, I was working for a company that was made up of 15 small companies located all over the world. And they were all had like 100 or 200 people in them. And I knew everybody. And so what I did is, if I needed a resource, I knew who to call, right? So if I needed a traffic guy and there was a good traffic guy at our Bay City facility, I'd call him up and I'd say, hey, you need to help out the guys in Saginaw. And so I wanted to recreate that environment. And so that's why I called it the J.S. Peterson Business Group. Because what I wanted to do was to surround myself with other professionals that I could bring in to a client. And it worked out, I did all manufacturing companies. That's who I worked with. And manufacturing companies are very complex and they need all kinds of resources, So I had a lot of people that I brought in that made me look real smart because, they supported my clients. And then they would bring me into their clients because they got to know me and they felt like, I'm going to have to tell somebody about Jeff because he just helped me make a lot of money. So that's really what you get at this this meeting that I put the link in there, is that kind of an environment. And so it's, as Matt says, it's all about networking. And so, now with the fact that we can do this virtually like this and everybody's so comfortable doing it, I'm meeting people in California, Pennsylvania, Florida, it doesn't matter. I don't even know where they are. I have to ask, right? Because I have to ask them, hey, where are you, where are you from? But we're talking just like we would talk here, almost like they're next door. So that's an incredible resource. And by the way, just as a footnote to all that, on my active campaign that I'm going to do, I do it once a month, sometimes twice a month, depending on how much time I have. I'm going to put a resource section in there. And so all these links will be in that email. So you won't have to remember them. So Mark's will be there. Everybody, knows about Matt and what he's doing, but I'm going to put his, stop by my office thing in there. So everybody that's interested in fractional stuff will know all of these resources. And they're all out there. There's, there's very, very many of them. So one last item I'm going to talk about, I'm going to be doing another monthly meeting, another stop on my office kind of thing, but it's going to be a little different. So it's, as financial people, so I started doing financial work before there was automated general ledgers. We used the black books, the ledger books. So it was a long time ago. But so you can imagine what I've had to learn, over the years. There were no PCs, there were no ledger books. And, first time we had a ledger that was automated, we used to have to fill out the journal entries and send them to Key Punch so that they could put them into the system. And so another wave that's coming is FP&A software, financial planning and analysis software, right? Now, I'm a software guy. And so 2 years ago, I developed an FP&A software that hooks into QuickBooks. I didn't code it, but it's my design. But it was designed with all the fundamentals of all the ways of FP&A systems work. So like right now, everybody that's here, an electronic general ledger is an electronic general ledger is an electronic general ledger. They're all, to us, they're all the same now because they've been around so long. And everybody's seen more than one type, but the fundamentals are all the same. And so I can tell you this, on FP&A systems, I've studied them all. I've talked to, had webinars for all of them. The fundamentals are the same on all of them. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a cycling meeting where every 3 months, there's 3 months worth of meetings. So the first one is, how do FP&A systems work? The second one is how to apply them in a business. And then the third part is, how do you use them to help and support the business that you're in? So it's kind of those three aspects. And it's just going to repeat. And so it's free. Just like this, it's going to be a stop by my office. And what I'm going to do is for everybody that shows up, I'm going to give them the opportunity to use my software for free. And so we will actually do hands-on learning of FP&A software, and how to use it, what it's for. So it doesn't matter now, wherever you go, if they have FP&A software, you'll understand the concepts behind it, what it's trying to do. Of course, if down the road you want to buy my FP&A software, that's a good thing too. But that's not, so it's really, so whatever everybody that's comes to it, you'll get 60 days, 6 months worth of using my software for free. It's hooked up to a version of QuickBooks. You can hook it up to your own version of QuickBooks if you feel like it. And so it kind of goes along with what we're doing here, because it's another tool. If you bring it, like Mark's using it on one of his clients, if you bring it to your client, you're going to look really, really smart, right? And so, and you say to your client, hey, we want to use this software. And I'll go through all of that when we go into the meetings. But the other thing is, the FANG was set up to help people in transition originally. And so if you're in transition and you're looking for a job and you can't talk about FP&A software to your prospective employer, it could be a problem. But so to have that arrow in your quiver of FP&A software and the basic understanding of it is going to be a really good thing. And this wave is coming. There's still a lot of people that have never touched it before, but more and more and more you're seeing people that are using it, and it's becoming part of the bigger software packages.
All right, so let me just mention, stop by my office since you brought it up. I've been trying to popularize it within our group. It's like the $6 million man. We have the technology, and I'm very patient. In the beginning of time itself, the new member announcement didn't really generate much activity within the group. And now every new member I talk to is blown away by the number of people who contact them from the new member list. Because I have some fanatic fingers out there who contact everybody. And, it's just a helping hand thing. Stop by my office. Everybody's got Zoom. Everybody's comfortable with it. Let's assume one of you would like to have a discussion with a few other like-minded people on how to develop relationships with commercial bankers. That narrow a topic. You just let me know you want to do a stop by my office. You send me the Zoom link and the days and times, and you'll talk to at least 5 people who are interested in discussing this topic. It's there. That's why I put it front and center in the newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty amazing. The first time I did this was a year ago. And, I put it out there and I said, okay, maybe somebody will show up. I won't just be at the party all by myself, And literally like 30 people came in. I couldn't, I spent the first 5 minutes letting people into the meeting. It was pretty amazing. And we've had really good meetings ever since then. So
if it's a topic on your mind, it's a topic on other people's minds. And it's going out to 34,000 people. There's got to be somebody.
Yeah.
And that's what it's there for. Because to Jeffrey's point, our whole organization is focused on helping you find a source of income. It's that simple. Yes, the original focus was W-2 jobs because nobody knew about this fractional stuff. But
Right.
again, now, a lot of people have, they call them side hustles now. That's one of the new words.
Yeah,
You have a
yeah.
side hustle. Well, side hustles can be your whole job.
Yep. All right,
Yep.
so, does anybody have any comments, questions? Melanie, what'd you think so far?
That was really good. Thank you so much. Like
Right.
hearing everybody's perspectives and their advice.
Good. Mark Green, did you get something out of this one?
Yes, I did. Thank you. And I just said thank you in the chat. So I appreciate it. It was helpful
right.
listening to the ideas. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So Robert, what's your, you seem new. Are you new at this?
Yes, I am. Actually, I was reading through Matt Butt's emails, and I found your link for the Zoom meeting, and I was very interested in this because I've been a fractional CFO, but I feel I could be a lot better or more successful in the process. And I just want to join the meeting to learn more about it and see where I can help others, but at the same time, gather information.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see, like when you hear Greg talk, you can see Greg's had some really good experience. So, like Mac says, it's all about networking. So make sure you guys link in with each other. You can do a screenshot of this whole thing and, just find everybody on here and link in with everybody. Because, you'll find that you'll all have something you can share. And it's really fun when you start debating, I have this one guy that shows up here. And he and I, every time we talk, we debate on how you bill, and we could go on for hours because both of us are totally convinced that our way of doing it is correct. And so it's fun, to do stuff like that.
Jeff, you're my hero, the way you bill. It's my goal.
Okay,
I
so
like
stay tuned for the next meeting.
I'd like to continue this. Okay, I'd like to continue this.
Yeah,
Perfect.
by the way, Robert, if you, in all seriousness, if you go to the FANG website, I'm going to be speaking at a meeting tonight and a meeting tomorrow night for Memphis and Chicago.
Okay,
And you'll get a good lay of the land as to what it feels like to be a fractional CFO for 20 some years.
tonight's Charleston Zoom meeting, so I'll have to try it like the next day.
Okay, great. Yeah,
And Jeffrey, before you go, I popped you a note just before your meeting. I need an update for your next meeting.
yeah, it's coming. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
I left
guys.
the space for you in tonight's newsletter.
Dave, you got a quick one?
Quick question, sort of unrelated to this. I was wondering if anybody is going Thursday, Greater Boston to the CFO Leadership Council MIT annual summit that they're having.
Right. It's the MIT CFO Summit is not related to the Leadership Council. It's just Jack McCullough is one of the what we should call them co-hosts.
Yeah, I realize that, but they
It's not
co-branded together.
But I will be at the MIT CFO Summit, Dave. If you're going to be there, please find me.
I've seen you there before. You hand out the pins.
Yep. Well, bring your pin. I'm only bringing 100 of them this time. There's 600 people at the conference. So we're hoping to recruit some new members there. And I can use your help.
All
I'll
right.
be there.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me, Jeffrey.
Yes, thanks for showing up.
Jeff.
Thanks, Mark, Brendan. Bye.